Welcome to today's episode of Daddy Cool Gaming. And on today's episode, we are going to be checking out one of my favorite wrestling video games. A game, in fact, that got a lot of hate. A lot of issues, apparently, with this game. But thanks to what we call the modding community online, this game is experiencing a resurgence of sorts. So for those of you who may not know this game, it's called AEW Fight Forever. It was released a couple of years ago, and initially it had a lot of real issues, right? People would say there's no real depth to the game in terms of there were only a handful of game modes that one could play to enjoy this game, in a sense that it's really shallow. After about an hour of playing, you might get tired and you might just quit the game, uninstall it, or ask for a refund. Another big complaint people had of this game was the Creator Wrestler Suite. Supposedly the worst of any wrestling game in history, with the only exception being the encyclopedia of moves in Fight Forever. It probably didn't help also that online capabilities were rather limited and there was no community creations. So you had to build all your creator wrestlers edits from scratch, as you could not download them from a server. And instead of improving on the game, there were a bunch of useless minigames which people didn't like. And finally, I think the biggest gripe that people have with this game was the fact, or the impression, that the game was abandoned by its developers, THQ Nordic. Or it actually felt like it was abandoned. But thanks to several resources, so I've spent actually the past year collecting resources from Nexus Mods, AEW Mod Forever, which is a patron page where you can download wrestlers for the game, and legacy websites like ProWrestlingMods.io. We are able to present to you guys this ultimate roster for AEW Fight Forever modded. So let's first go to the CAW list. Well, I mean, you guys can see these are the default characters in the game. You have Jay White, you have Dustin Rhodes, you have Cody Rhodes, etc. But I want us to start at the wrestlers we actually added to the game, and I think you guys will see how insane the modding is for Fight Forever. And as you can see, instead of the generic ugly looking cows that you can create in the game, you have true to life, realistic looking wrestlers like Kazuchika Okada, for example. So let's see, in this game we have 3 versions of him. And just to give you an idea of how I collected these wrestlers, I wanted to kind of assemble what would be personally the best roster in history for my taste. So what does that mean? Combination of current AEW, like Will Ospreay over here, former AEW, now WWE, current WWE, several rosters throughout the history of WWE, like the Ruthless Aggression era, Attitude era, the Golden era, not to mention competitors like WCW, ECW, and of course legends from Japan, from All Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Noah, legends from Mexico. And basically what I wanted to do was create a game that would rival the best wrestling games out there. So I'm think about the roster for WWE 2K26, WWE 2K19, 2K14, SmackDown versus Raw 2007-2006. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. WWF No Mercy. WCW NWO Revenge. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Think of those games, and what we wanted to do was basically get everyone who can claim to be the elite of those eras, the best of the best, the legends and the champions, and to put them all in one game. So let's go through them. Of course, you saw Okada, but now let's look at Will Ospreay. So we have current Will Ospreay, and we have a bit younger Will Ospreay. We have Zack Sabre from New Japan. Tetsuya Naito, who I believe is now in Noah, but was previously for the longest time in New Japan. Kyle Fletcher, who I think is the future of AEW. His charisma is off the hooks, and it's always blockbuster watching him on television. The former Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, one of the most decorated women champions in the history of professional wrestling. Konosuke Takeshita, of course, a mainstay of AEW. Kota Ibushi, best friend of Kenny Omega. Minoru Suzuki, a legend from New Japan, now in AEW. Juice Robinson, partner of Jay White in Bullet Club. Buddy Matthews, of course, was part of the House of Black with Malachi Black and Brody King. Of course, Ricochet is here. One of the best high flyers, whose legendary fight with Will Ospreay was the talk of the town back in the late 2010s. Then you have, look at this, you have Brock Lesnar. You have current bearded, braided, Viking mode Brock Lesnar. And then you have the Brock Lesnar from when he came back to the WWE back in the early 2010s. As you can see in this game, he is the AEW World Champion. The OTC, Roman Reigns. Seth freaking Rollins is here. The phenomenal AJ Styles, who just retired. Randy Orton, the Viper. Of course, the GOAT, arguably the GOAT, John Cena. And we actually have 3 versions of John Cena. We have John Cena from the Farewell Tour. And we have a special You Can't See Me version of John Cena, where you literally can't see the guy. Hilarious. Finn Balor, but in this game I'm calling him Prince Devitt. Throwback to his name in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have Gunther. So one of the problems with this game, or the edit mode of this game, is you have to have a first name and a last name. For some reason, wrestlers can't be just one name, like Gunther. So I just added Han, his family name. Drew McIntyre's here. And you have 2 versions of Bray Wyatt. You have Bray Wyatt himself and The Fiend. Then you have Kevin Owens. 2 versions of Rey Mysterio. Look at that. Classic Rey Mysterio, modern day Rey Mysterio. You have Dolph Ziggler. Jey Uso. Yeet. Jimmy Uso. And we have the future of WWE as well represented here. You have Braun Breaker. The controversial Logan Paul. You have Jacob Fatu, who is going on a tear right now, going after Roman Reigns. As a surprise, Jacob Fatu also doubles as Solo Sikoa and Rikishi, the Usos and Solo's dad. For the past champions, see, I'm not lying when I say these guys are the legends, and now we're going to the Ruthless Aggression era. You have Batista, You have Rob Van Dam, Alberto Del Rio. I mean, name a game that has all of these legends. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can download all of them in a WWE 2K game, but it's gonna take a while, and you have to be online to play them. Triple H. I think we have 4 versions of The Rock. Final Boss Rock. Just Bring It shirt. Classic Rock. Then we have The Rock with a shiny shirt, unbuttoned shirt from back in the Attitude Era. We have 2 Steve Austins with a What shirt and classic vested Steve Austin. We have the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. And of course, eternal rival Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. And you have The Undertaker. 3 versions of The Undertaker. Look at this game. It has Chris Benoit. Guys, Chris Benoit. The controversial crippler crossface. He who shall not be named in the WWE. Then you also have Eddie Guerrero. You have Kurt Angle. I think we have 4 Mick Foleys. Cactus Jack. Mankind. Boiler Room Mankind. And Dude Love. We have Bubba Ray Dudley. Devon Dudley. Ken Shamrock. Kane. See, you can't have one name for the wrestler, so I just placed Big Red Kane. I don't know if it works. Maybe you guys can recommend. Comment down below what I should rename him to be. And Debut Kane, of course, is here. My favorite Kane. William Regal. And I guess I want to be able to touch as to why I prefer AEW over other wrestling games now, especially WWE 2K. Well, it's because I grew up playing wrestling video games, and in terms of gameplay, my favorite games were always those that came out in the Nintendo 64 back in the day. So think about your WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy, WCW NWO Revenge, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, somewhat copied by SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. So those games were known for having such a solid exhibition mode, and their gameplay was just fantastic. And I guess in a word, what I'm looking for in a video game is simplicity. I much prefer the simplicity of AEW Fight Forever, especially since it's playable offline. There's no online requirement, so I can take it, I can load it up on my Steam Deck, take it on a long flight to wherever, and just play the hell out of it, enjoy it. And a big thing about the game for me is the fact that it's in terms of hard disk space, it doesn't require much. It's not like these modern games, you need more than 100 gigabytes. I mean, come on. Who has 100 gigabytes? Especially when all these other games are coming out that equally are demanding of your attention. Who has 100 gigabytes to spare for a WWE 2K game? For this game too, there are no updates. So, harkening back to the controversy in the game that it felt abandoned. Yeah, there are no updates for the games, but I actually prefer it because, yeah, you can just play it as is. You can load the mods, play the game as is. There are no unlockables, none of that loot boxes system, no ultimate teams, no in-game purchases. Everything is unlocked from the get-go. But I have to be real. I mean, this game could have benefited from having a GM mode or a universe mode. But I'm happy with what we got, especially in terms of gameplay. The gameplay was perfect. I decided to load it up with a legendary cast of wrestlers to complement the list of existing ones. So let's continue. You have Bill Goldberg, Bret Hart's favorite wrestler, Bill Goldberg. You have Booker T, King Book, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, the NWO, starting with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hollywood Hogan. Of course, we have the classic version of Hulk Hogan and another Hulk Hogan with his shirt and bandana on. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Total Package, Lex Luger. DDP. Raven. If you were a 90s kid, if you grew up during the Monday Night Wars, you probably would have loved Raven as well. Infamously, he was on the cover of WCW NWO Revenge. Jeff Jarrett. Conan. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Two versions. The Ultimate Warrior. So now we're going towards the WWF Golden Era. The infamous Vince McMahon, the granddaddy of them all, the man who started everything. The controversial genius of Vince McMahon. Shane O'Mac. And I added as a freebie, there's a Freebird, Michael Hayes, tacked on to Shane McMahon as an Easter egg. Sid Vicious. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. We have two versions of Farouk. Nation of Domination Farouk. Acolytes, APA Farouk. We have the World's Strongest Man, Mark Henry. Jake the Snake Roberts. Tatanka. Road Warrior Animal, and I was really happy to have the Legion of Doom in this game, the Road Warriors in this game, especially since all the great tag teams in the world are represented. The Young Bucks, FTR, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardy Boys, Sabu, Taz, Terry Funk, Ultimo Dragon, Jushin Thunder Liger, Big Van Vader, Keiji Muto, as Muto and as the Great Muta. How I wish we could get the NWO Muta. Masahiro Chono, Shinya Hashimoto. So these three were the three musketeers of New Japan Pro Wrestling back in the day. Conversely, we also have three of the four pillars from All Japan. Kenta Kobashi, Misawa, Kawada. Other mainstays of WCW, you have Buff Bagwell, you have Lance Storm. I was adamant about including Lance Storm, especially since he was the first tag team partner of Chris Jericho. And in one of my playthroughs, I went on a Chris Jericho retirement tour where his last match would be against the first guy he faced, his oldest friend in the business, Lance Storm. Coincidentally, Lance Storm also doubles as NWO Sting for some reason. So one other bad thing about the game is we're only limited to 100 cows. So yeah, it was difficult to choose between all the favorites. That's why I just had to add several of these wrestlers and tack them on to some of the wrestlers that ended up getting the front billing. Scott Norton. Tacked onto Scott Norton, Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy, and Dr. Death Steve Williams. So all of them, the Gaijins of Japan. Popular, very big in Japan back in the 90s. You have Dean Malenko, Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio. We have Kenta, the originator of the go to sleep. Perry Saturn. Wait, let's load Perry Saturn again. There you go. His tattoos didn't load for a minute. X-Pac. Guys, we have Brody King. From the House of Black, Brody King. We have guys from Chronic, Brian Clark, also known as Adam Bomb. Brian Adams, also known as Crush. We also have Vampiro. If you were a fan of WCW back in the day, definitely would recognize Vampiro. Then we have the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Satoshi Kojima, Legends of New Japan. Katsuyori Shibata. And our 100th wrestler, created wrestler, Obafemi. The guy who supposedly retired Brock Lesnar, but got surprised this past Monday when he got attacked by Brock Lesnar. So we have a fantastic list of created wrestlers. Thanks to the mods that are out there. Again, Nexus Mods, AEW Mod Forever, and Patreon, and ProWrestlingMods.io. But it's not just the created wrestlers that have mods on them. The actual characters in the game also have mods. So let's take a look at some of them. Some of the mods that were added include t-shirts. So you will have Adam Cole wearing a Bullet Club shirt, for example. You will have Bryan Danielson wearing a Blackpool Combat Club shirt. Chris Jericho with several shirts. But the Jericho Appreciation Society is my favorite. Oh, I even gave Jericho an NWO shirt for some reason. And you have Christian. Oh, look at that. Alternate attire for Christian. Probably never wore that, but in my game he did. I forgot about Adam Copeland's alternate shirt. He has a Judgment Day shirt. Look at that. And then CM Punk got an entirely new look. So instead of black trunks, black boots, he has his blue trunks, white and blue boots over here. And then he has several shirts. It's the classic CM Punk shirt. I gave him a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt for some reason. Austin 316. And a Bret the Hitman Hart shirt. Cody also has a mod where he looks like the WWE version of Cody. The American Nightmare version. Look at that, Danhausen's here. I love it. Dustin Rhodes also has a mod with his Goldust attire. And of course, the guys from FTR will have their CMFTR shirts. Who else? Let's look at Jay White. I think Jay White has a couple of versions. All red. Bullet Club Gold. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Jeff Hardy, I think there was no way, or there are no mods of him with the face paint on, so I just use some of the options available in the CAW suite to give him a different look. Kenny Omega, of course, has a lot of versions in this game. So we even have the Elite version. I think I gave Malachi two other versions. One where he looks like a member of a black metal band, and one where he looks like an actual demon. Of course, Matt Hardy has both him and the broken Matt Hardy versions in the game. The Young Bucks would have several versions as well. MJF as an American version. Look at this. Never give up a Cena shirt on MJF. Hilarious. Owen Hart has a bunch of versions. He has the WWE King of Hearts version. Then I gave him other attires as well, playing on the pink and black theme. As you can see, a bunch of these guys are already in the WWE. Penta, Powerhouse Hobbs, Rey Fenix, Ricky Starks, Samoa Joe is... No, these guys are still in AEW. But Sting also has modded characters. So the Crow Sting, classic 90s Sting. Then you have NWO Wolfpack Sting, and then modern day Sting. So as you can see, I mean, it's still a rather limited game in terms of depth, but you can't say that the roster of this game is lacking. They literally have all of the greatest, the best wrestlers in history. I just wish we had more CAW slots so we can add more. But as far as the issues that I mentioned earlier in terms of depth of the game, the worst creator wrestler suite, community creations, and the game being abandoned, they're all rather moot now since you can update the game with the mods. Even the minigames taste better now, especially since you can play some of those silly games but with legends. Imagine playing poker, playing those games with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, members of the Clique, modern day Brock Lesnar. Hilarious, right? Okay, so stay tuned the next few episodes where we will be going through the gameplay of AEW Fight Forever modded version. This has been Daddy Cool Gaming. I'll see you guys next time.